Hello and welcome to another volume of Just the Bosses. I'm RPG Maniac 05 and today we'll be taking a look at one of my favorite boss battles in DmC Devil May Cry versus Barbas. Barbas is one of Mundus' generals in the game and he functions as the propaganda spewer, so he is often seen on the news talking badly about people he deems terrorists, and Dante happens to be one of these people, so he is often bad-mouthing him and saying all kinds of fun stuff about him throughout the game. Uh, this time you finally take the fight to him in his special tower in Limbo, and here you get to kind of work your way through the Raptor News Network logo, which I thought was a nice touch. One of my favorite things about this game is the level design. The developers did a really good job on many of the different Limbo levels, and you can really see that throughout the game as like the most mundane locations turn out to these strange, vibrant places with malevolent architecture, which is really fun. So when you finally make it to Bob, he taunts you a bit, and that's when the real boss fights finally starts. This is what I'm assuming to be his true form, as his other form is merely a facade for humanity to trust him.
Hey Bob, put a spin on this.
My personal view on the terrorists is that they are disgusting, degrading, ghastly, sleazy, purient, and generally nauseating. The worst of them is Dante. The whole world would benefit greatly by his non-existence.
I'm taking you off the air.
You think so? I wouldn't bet on it, you little shit.
Now, when the battle starts, your goal here is to kind of cut Bob off from his connection to the world, and you do so by breaking the red disc on the ground around him. This pretty much like brings him into a vulnerable state where you can attack him freely with your weapons. One of the weapons you see here is actually one you get from him when you beat him, so don't expect to be using that on your first playthrough fighting him. As you attack him, he will release like a small little area of effect burst, which you have to avoid so you don't, lose your style points and get damaged. Now, as the fight continues, eventually you'll do enough damage where you'll get the opportunity to use your angel lift, and it'll bring you into an alternate universe, so to speak, which I think was another cool aspect of the boss fight, as it kind of gives you like a security video-esque kind of view, which is another way for Bob to kind of badmouth Dante, and you also learn a bit about Dante's past and the unfortunate implications that he's been dealing with demons ever since he was even a little kid. So this seems to be confirmed throughout the game, based on his time spent in foster homes and his bad experiences. This also gives you the opportunity to build up your style points, which will help increase your rank later on at the end of the mission, among other things. Another cool thing about the combat system in this game is the ability to switch weapons on the fly, so you can kind of build up your combos that way as well. So, as the battle continues, he starts pulling out a few other attacks to kind of prevent you from, defeating him, and you have to break more of the connections in order to bring him back into the vulnerable state he was in before. So you have to do 2 as opposed to the 1 previously, and then bring him back down to another state where you can perform the angel pull again, or angel lift. As you learn his pattern of attacks or ways to get around his attacks, you can kind of make your way around the levels, so that way you can avoid, taking damage during the boss fight. And the frequency of these attacks change throughout the battle, obviously, because as he gets more desperate to defeat you, he becomes a bit more aggressive. This next segment takes place in the Virility Factory. It's another security video-like segment, but a new addition to this one is quote-unquote witness accounts of what happened in the factory, and they kind of only add fuel to the fire in terms of making Dante look like a terrorist. So these kind of things are things that happen, that go on in DmC's story. It kind of talks about how the demons have been essentially brainwashing mankind and turning them into soulless shells as they pump them full of things like virility, which basically causes them to rot inside out, and then using propaganda to pretty much finish the job by mind raping them and making them believe anything they want them to believe, so to the point where humans are pretty much just food for them. And since the demon world is somewhat separate and invisible to the humans world, they don't really know what's going on. They kind of just accept it and go with it.
Every camera, on every street corner, every police force in the country and worldwide. But we will find you. We will destroy you. It's only a matter of time. This is Barbas of the Raptor News Network. Just doing God's work.
I interrupt this broadcast to bring you breaking news. The terrorist organization responsible for the recent attacks has been located and is being stormed by SWAT teams as I speak. Two of the terrorists identified in these images are known to be in the compound.
Bastards.
The third terrorist has been cornered in another part of the city in a separate police raid. Rest assured, those responsible will be brought to justice at any moment, dead or alive. This is Barbas of the Raptor News Network. Just doing God's work.
In this final phase of the battle, you actually have to destroy all the disc in order to get him back into his vulnerable state. And this time around, they don't stay broken, so you kind of actually have to do it quickly. The best way to do this while he's like spewing attacks at you is to activate your devil trigger, which slows down time, so it allows you to kind of run to each one while he's spewing these attacks without having to worry about the other ones becoming active again. He also starts to use another attack during this phase as well, which I kind of forgot about when I was fighting him. It's a kind of like mouth blast attack, which he's actually prepping for now. He telegraphs most of his attacks. You can tell by the color of the energy he's gathering what he's about to. In Devil Trigger, time is slowed down to the point where you can quickly damage the disc around him without them regenerating before you get a chance to get them all, and you can finish him off, which is a benefit as well, since you not only regenerate health in this mode, but it also allows you to build up combos quickly and increase your damage output.
Breaking news, Bob. You're fired.
Upon defeating Bob, you actually gain one of my favorite weapons in the game, the Aquila Shurikens, which you actually saw me using during the boss battle here, because this is a replay of it, more or less. So this one I really like because it's great for crowd control, which you will need, because enemies like to attack you all at once. So It's a very convenient weapon to have, and a lot of fun to use. And that concludes this episode of Just the Bosses. Hope you enjoyed it, and remember to visit aimlesspodcast.com for more gaming and news.